You want to buy a house, right? And you think, I've worked on my credit score. I've gotten it to a point where I feel pretty comfortable. But what about your partner's credit score? It might be impacting your mortgage rate and payment more than you think. A new Mortgage Research Network study showed if one person in that relationship, we'll say marriage at this point, but the relationship, if you're buying the house together, if one person has a credit score under 640, together you can expect to pay more than $500 more a month just because of that one person's credit score. Milan Griffin's here to talk more about how to manage all this, buy a home as a couple. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. That I think is going to catch some people by surprise, right? Because you figure if one of us is doing pretty good, then collectively we should be doing okay, right? It's not always the case.
That's not always the case. So when you're buying a home as a couple, the great thing is it can boost your buying power. It can increase your affordability because you have two incomes coming together. The con, though, is if one of the two in the couple has a lesser credit score, lenders use the middle score of the three bureaus, from the three bureaus. So if the middle of the two is less, that's what lenders go by. And so with that in mind, someone with a poor score, if you will, can hurt the transaction, possibly cause the transaction to not be approved or limit the lender options.
So what, and I know everything's different depending on what type of mortgage or how much you're looking to, but according to this study, at least, if you look at the numbers as a whole, what are we talking about financially? Like, how much could it potentially cost a couple on a monthly basis or a yearly basis if the credit scores aren't even?
Well, you know, once you go through the home buying process and you get your pre-approval, you work with housing counseling organizations like HomeFree-USA, you get all your financial pieces in line, and then you go to the lender, you get that pre-approval. That pre-approval is going to tell you what you can afford. And so the cost of home ownership doesn't necessarily change once you know what you can afford.
Sure.
But it really is important to know that two people coming together is going to help you to qualify versus hurt you from qualifying. Another thing that is important related to the upfront costs, once you pull these two incomes together, yes, it increases your affordability and your buying power, but that can limit you and hurt you from accessing first-time home buyer assistance programs, down payment assistance programs. The down payment assistance programs are income-based, and they're also based on income and household size. So that can limit you from accessing those options.
So you work with potential home buyers all the time. If somebody comes in and they say, maybe they're watching this and they're just like, you know, listen, my partner's got great credit, mine not so much. Would you still recommend going through the process, or would you say work on boosting your credit a little bit first and then come back and see us later?
I would say first step, seek out companies like HomeFree-USA, HUD-approved housing counseling organizations. These agencies are going to look at you through the eyes of a loan officer, through the eyes of a mortgage lender. They're not mortgage lenders, though. They're going to help you to prepare for the transaction, and your homeownership advisor will let you know whether it's good to buy on your own or to buy together. The other great thing about housing counseling is once you sit and you look at both people's finances, that is sure enough financial therapy, couples therapy, if you will. So you can really see who is doing what the financial behaviors are, so you can also learn a lot about your mate in the process.
Well, and I think that it's key, too. We don't typically think about that, but one of the, I guess, kind of side realizations that came out of this study was that, you know, they're saying that if you have such a big disparity in credit scores, it could impact the personal lives.
It could. And that's why it's always good to get some home ownership advice before you see the lender. Because a housing counselor or home ownership advisor may say, hey, you have the credit, but your spouse doesn't, but your spouse has the money. So there are different options. Maybe your spouse helps you by gifting you some funds to help you with the down payment. Maybe you add your spouse's name to the deed later. There are a lot of options. Or house hacking, which a lot of people are into. You know, one person buys their own house, another person buys their own house, and you come together, you have two houses, now you have more wealth creation instead of waiting till marriage. So there are a lot of options, but it's important to get advice to know what those options are.
No doubt about it. All right, let's end with some advice then. If folks are watching and they're just like, I've been on a fence for a long time now. I've been waiting for the right time, or I've been waiting for the economy to settle, or whatever the excuse is, whatever the reason is. What do you want to make sure that people at least have together? How much focus do you want people to have, either in practicality or at least in process, before they do this actual home buying process?
Well, I will leave you with this quote, which I love. The best time to buy real estate was yesterday. The next best time to do it is today. Do not wait. There are programs and there are opportunities that are available. If you want to understand your options, it is so important to speak with a home ownership advisor at housing counseling organizations, HUD-approved agencies like HomeFree-USA. We will help you to understand your options, look at your profile, look at your credit score, your bank statements, your tax statements to see what is the best option, what is most feasible. Should you buy by yourself? Should you buy as a couple? And most importantly, definitely start the process now, because it takes some time, but it is so important to start.
It is a process, no
Yes.
doubt about it, however you look at it. Milan, thanks very much for joining us today. There's the information that we were just talking about and that she was just mentioning as well to get that process started. Thanks.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.